I did pass out a couple PDFs today in the key that we're going to look at it at. So let's take a look. Let's do the low melody. I passed it out high and low. Stoccolo plays it low. Actually, you should be able to do both, but let's talk about it low at first. I just mean in the lower octave, that's all I mean. It is important to learn a melody pretty well, like how it's written, kind of straight, without any fancy embellishments. Just learn how the melody is written, and be able to play it in 2 octaves. That's, to me, a very important concept. And then learn to play it with octaves, you know, stuff like this. And then learn chord melody. I mean, I really try to learn a song really well, and I know these classes, you know, we can spend 6 weeks just on Autumn Leaves, but this is kind of an overview, plus I give you lots of materials to look at, usually for each song, well, especially in this case. But that's my general spiel. Learn the basic melody, understand how the chords work, so that you can play it in any key and not eventually get away from the chart, you know. That means to me, you really know how it works, how the song works. And then do a chord melody arrangement, or, you know, be able to do that. That's all stuff that will really help you learn the song. And I'm saying the song by meaning the melody, the chords, chord melody, and then of course soloing at that point. Yes, Autumn Leaves is a tune that I've been playing for over 25, 30 years, and I thought I would get sick of it, but never. I mean, I just love this song. It's such a great song. And then you discover like, oh, this beautiful song by, sorry about the sheet here, this beautiful song by Stockler Rosenberg here, For Sephora. Oh, it uses Autumn Leaves right there. You know, it's like these songs use that progression. Black Orpheus, if you know that tune, Louis Bonfa, that it uses the Autumn Leaves progression. All these songs, Santana's Europa for that's Autumn Leaves. That's Autumn Leaves progression. Okay, you just hear it everywhere. So it's really a good idea again to dig deep into the progression, learn some mini songs that use this progression, and then how to improvise on it and have fun with it. Here, D minor 7, G7, C major 7, F major 7. So we're in the key of C. That's the 2-5-1-4. I'll say that again. If we're in the key of C or A minor, and that's a good question actually. Most people would say this is the minor key song because it ends on A minor and it sounds sad. But it starts off, doesn't sound so sad when it starts off. Well, it's subjective. 2-5-1-4, key of C, okay? And then it's a 2-5-1 going into A minor. Now A minor, if you're in the key of A minor, the 2 is B minor 7 flat 5, and the E, the 5 here, needs to be dominant. This, or for you Jimi Hendrix fans, you know what I'm gonna do. Stockler Rosenberg, they do that too. And then A minor. D minor 7, G7, drift by my window, C major 7, F major 7, the fall of the autumn leaves, B half tim, that's B minor 7 flat 5, E7, I'll do that purple A's chord for fun, of red and gold. Now here, on the chart, it just probably will stay A minor, but a lot of people, jazzers especially, do you all know what I'm going to put right here as a turnaround chord? Let's see if I can grab this annotation here. It's okay if you don't. I'm going to write it in. A7. Why A7 here from A minor to A7? Because that's the 5 of D minor. It pulls us back to D minor. So even if the chart doesn't have it, it's really nice to do. That was an A7 little lick, or maybe this. For more gypsy jazz, some diminished runs. And I did a C sharp diminished lick there. But again, that's really nice to go from the minor, turn it to dominant, and then go back. So if I were only to do chords, oh, key are we? The falling leaves drift by my window. The autumn leaves, E7, of red and gold, A7 right here. I see your lips, D, G7, the summer kisses, F major 7, the sunburned hands, purple haze chord, used to hold, and some sort of lick here. I took that second ending, and I played A minor 6 here. I didn't play A minor 7, I wanted a little bit more Django. So here's A minor 7, here's A minor 6. And that's a really nice thing to be able to do. Minor 7, minor 6. Okay. So you can always substitute out those 6 7s for 6s. It's just, again, subjective like this. You could do F major 6. You could do C6. You don't have to do major 7, major 7. But for autumn leaves, it's often, you often do want to bring out those qualities, those 7th qualities. So that was the basic harmonic analysis. We have a 2-5-1-4 in the major key, and then we modulate to the relative minor, meaning C major is relative to A minor, and you do a 2-5-1. I'm going to talk shop a lot, and if you are not familiar with that, type it in the chat and I'll try to clarify. Wait, where is that chat here? Let me pull that up. I'm going to see if I can get you all back in gallery mode so I can see you. Okay, it won't let me do that right now. Maybe it's because I'm sharing the screen. So that's the little lingo there. And then again, this is not written, but that's often added by the band or by the soloist. And then the B section here, it's an A-B song form, by the way, not your typical A-A-B-A. It's an A-A-B song form, so that's a little bit special as well. The B section goes back to the 2-5-1 in the relative minor, and then it goes 2-5-1 to the 4 in the relative major. So basically, it just reverses the pattern. It recycles the same stuff. So for soloing, you can imagine, you could do the same idea, same licks. It's just reverse. 2-5-1 to the minor, 2-5-1 to the major, the relative. And then the 4 is just kind of a prolongation of the 1. Sometimes it's not even written there, but people will just put in the 4 chord. Okay. And then it goes back 2-5-1 to the minor. And then, not everybody, but often, we'll do this walk down. A minor 7 is very dramatic. A flat 7. That's a substitute for D7. Some books might say D7, but if you want to be a little bit more jazzy, you would do A flat 7. That's called tritone substitution. It's very Django also. And it creates a nice chromatic bass line. And then F major. So it's basically a 2-5, 2-5, and then to the F. And F major is the 4 chord of C, but it's also the flat 6 of A minor. Kind of dark. Sometimes you'll see a minor 7 flat 5, B minor 7 flat 5. That would be this chord, which is equivalent. This is where it gets so convoluted. B minor 7 flat 5. Think about it. Is equivalent to, if you know already, you may not know, is equivalent to D minor 6. D minor 6. D minor 6 is very closely related to F6. D minor 7 is the same as F6. So see what I mean? It's like, they're so subtle. Like you change one note, you get something different. So sometimes someone might play B half dim. Someone Someone else might play F, and you get F6. Someone might play D minor 6 there, and it's basically all the same stuff. That to me is very important to know, like that, the differences, and it's almost like the bass line. I like it. I like this chromatic walk down. So again, A minor, A flat 7, G minor 7, G flat 7, F major 7. But I like the 6 on there, so it becomes F major 6 or F major 13 if you want to have the 7 in there. And then the E7. A minor. I'm going to put a 6 here. And then you're back to the top. This is very important. Put on the recording and just play along. Or sing it if you're a singer. Red gold, A7. I see your lips. G7. Summer kisses. The sunburned hands. Second inning. I used to hold. Since you went away, the days grow long, and soon I'll hear G7, old winter song. Plays a ballad. But I miss you most of all. Ready? Right here. My darling, when autumn leaves, purple haze chord starts to fall. And then maybe we could kick into it a little bit faster. And then go into some soloing ideas and stuff like that too. So again, that's where it's important to learn the melody one octave. And this is exactly how I tabbed it out here. I'm just reading my tabs. If you're, again, I hope all of you read tabs, if maybe you read the notes, but you can finger this melody so many different places on the instrument, and of course you can play it up an octave. So learn the melody as written here, and then listen to Stocklow Rosenberg and Borelli Legrin, or whoever your favorite, Gypsy Jazz or Wes Montgomery. Django didn't record the song. I don't think he did. Maybe it'll come out later, who knows, from the vaults. I hope he did. So anyways, that's the chords. Any question on the chords or the harmonic analysis, meaning the progression? So if I said, can we play it in the key of G minor? You guys can do it, right? That's okay, I don't think I can do it. That's a Miles Davis key, by the way. But seriously, what my process would be this. Okay, G minor is relative to B flat major. So it starts on the 2 chord, 2, 5, 1, 4. And now I have to go 2, 5, 1 into G minor. And there's my A section. 2, 5, 1, 4. And then 2, 5, 1 to the G minor. 2, 5, 1. And then it recycles. 2, 5, 1. 2, 5, 1. And then go to the 4. Like I said, it's kind of optional. But I miss you most of all. And then here's our chromatic. To the 4. And there it is in G minor. Any key, that's, to me, that's a goal. To be able to do that. Not everybody cares about that. Gonzalo Bergara was here last week for a workshop in Portland. Let's see, 1, 2, a couple of you were there, and he's like, just what's the point of learning it in 12 different keys? That's music school stuff. I do find value in it personally, and then especially if I'm on a gig and a singer says, I can't sing in that key, I gotta do it in that key. It's like, okay, you wouldn't be able to do it on the fly without saying, wait, let me go to iReal Pro, key of B flat. We all know. So again, it's nice to be able to do that and really understand how a song works. I think that's important. How many of you know minor swing? Is that, if you don't know this already, a lot of gypsy jazz players insert the autumn leaves chord changes on the B section of minor swing. So when you have minor swing, this is a demonstration, don't worry too much about it. A minor 6, D minor 7, E7, A minor. Then it's supposed to go to D minor, back to A minor, E7. If in case you already know it, then you get it. And I'll do it again, but 4, 5, 1. Right here though, the falling leaves drift by my window. That's where you put it in on the B section. And again, you can solo as if you're playing over autumn leaves. And it's just beautiful. It's a nice change. It's pretty common again to throw in the autumn leaves changes. Of course, you want to, talk it over with your band before you kick into it.
Is there a YouTube out? I've never heard that mix. Is there a YouTube?
Yeah, I think Stocklow Rosenberg was the first to do that at his Live at North Sea Jazz Festival. I don't know how many, if there's lessons on it. I'll make a little lesson and put it out on YouTube over that. But just really briefly here, D minor for 2 bars, you put D minor G7. And it's just like a prolongation of D minor, that's all it is. And then instead of going back to A minor, you put C major to F major. And A minor is in both of those 2 chords, essentially. So that's why it works, and the rest is 2-5. Which in a gypsy jazzer would probably just play E7, but you could go 2, 5, and then of course A minor. So you get these nice movements. Nice voice leading. That's why it works. Is again D minor for 2 bars. You could put D minor G7, and then instead of going to A minor, you can go C major, F major 7. They both contain kind of an A minor structure. See, I'll play A minor 7 like this. That's A minor 7. If I put C in the bass, it's C6. If I put F in the bass, let's see if I could do this. It's F major 9. So it's almost kind of more modern sounding. If any of you are Pat Metheny fans, one of my heroes, it's kind of Pat Metheny-ish. But again, that's almost like leading us to more modern jazz. Django was going there in his later, towards the end of his life there, kind of more to the modern-y sounds. Meaning a lot of sharp. Django is just super colorful. He was already modern early on, so not just going there, but sonically he kind of was as well, compositionally too. A lot of extensions and alterations. Okay, so here's the thing that I think is important for soloing, to be able to just outline the chords. D minor, G, C major, F, and then B half diminished. This is part of what I was talking about earlier. B half diminished, what do you do there? B minor 7 flat 5. You can play B minor 7 flat 5 arpeggio, but that is equivalent to D minor 6. And I know what to do on D minor 6 because I play with minor chords all day long. But how often do you encounter a half diminish on the chart? Not too often, unless you're playing tunes like Autumn Leaves. So what is important is to convert B minor 7 flat 5 to a D minor 6 or a D minor lick. And I just did a D minor 6 arpeggio like this. That's this. In a simple way, just this. So I'm just going D minor triad, and then add the 6 on. And then it'd be under this chord, or over this chord. Okay, so again, that's that. And then when it goes to E7, diminish it. And then A minor. And then back to the top. D minor, G7, C major, F major, and then here's that B half, and I just kind of did arpeggios. I'll talk more about that. What do I do here? D minor. E7, I turn it to diminish, and then A minor. So again, that's just kind of a quick soloing method. And we don't even need to do the B section because it recycles the same materials from the A section. So again, work on that A section quite a bit and then reverse it once you head into the B. However, the B has that nice little outlining, the tritone substitution. If you want to get kind of more bebop-y, or you could just stay a lot more simple as the Rosenberg version does. I know now I'm kind of just shop talking quite a bit here. So again, D minor, G, C major, and that's C major 7. What I'm doing is outlining F major 7. So again, I'm going to do it here, D minor 7, G7, C major 7, F major 7. And then on that B half diminish, I'm converting it D minor 6. And then, here's the trick, turn it to diminished off of D. Diminish 7. And then resolve it to A minor. Some blues lick or something for A minor. And then check this out. And now a C sharp dim to pull us back to the top, which is D minor. That C sharp diminished is a substitute for A7. You get this. And then D minor 7. Or D minor 6. I prefer 6 sometimes to give it more of a Django-y flavor. G7. C major 7. F major 7. Here comes that B half dim. I'm going to play D minor 6 arpeggio. Then on the E7, D diminish. And then A minor. Pretty pure A minor there. That was just doing this, the bar chord. And if this is new for you, I'm just doing A minor bar chord. But I did this. And I just outlined it. If you all want to try this with me. If this is new for you, play A minor bar chord. But you don't actually have to play it, you're just visualizing it. And add the lower neighbor tone, the auxiliary note there. They call it in jazz the approach note. So instead of starting right on it, you go. Very beautiful. I'll give you a nice dark chord. And then do that everywhere. I mean, seriously, that's so important. Just go A minor. You have so much fun. Just that decoration. So this leads me to another topic, and again, plugging my Patreon. I have a series called Gypsy Jazz Bootcamp, which is kind of what this class is all about too. But they're trying to in a system of learning to where you're going to say, oh, I like that. I'm going to do that through the whole song. I'm just taking that one lick or motif, I call it, and going through the progression. I went through it fast. I went D minor, G7, C major, F major. We've got a lot of improvisation choices. because there's 3 notes. These are thinking more triads in this case. B half dim, which is D minor 6, and diminishing it, and then A minor, D minor, G7, C, F, B half dim. And that was just through Autumn Leaves, just kind of working on that. And then you might say, "Oh, I really like that." And then you can do the Upper Neighbor. Many of you already know my little routine here. This. And again, I'm just outlining the chords in a decorative way. If that's, again, this is just, a lot of this is just demonstration right now, just some food for thought. Like, oh, you might say, oh, I really need to work on those chords. But the thing is, yes, but try to systematically do it by just doing this: D minor, G, C, F. I was supposed to say B half dim, I'm doing D minor. Then I diminish it, A minor, and then A7. Now I'm going to go here, D minor, G, C, F, D minor, D diminish, A minor, A7, and then D minor here, etc. So that's allowing me to map it out. Instead of just running up and down our pages. I really love that because it allows you to think simple and you don't have to go all that stuff. You could just play very sweet and very melodically, kind of like the melody. And it's kind of very motivic. It's very lyrical and it's very compositional. That's to me a very great approach to it, and I try to do that when I'm soloing. I try not to just run up and down blues licks or scales. That being said, I want to talk about that for a minute here. The go-to sound for a lot of players is the blues scale, and I know all of you know the blues scale, right? Maybe. Good, hopefully. Pentatonic, minor pentatonic. So here's just a quick thing on this kind of like the strategy here. If you're in the key of, this kind of a given, A minor, key of A minor or key of C major, you're going to run A minor pentatonic or A minor blues over the whole thing. You don't even need to think about the changes. Again, this is where it'd be nice to have my loop pedal here or something, but I don't right now. So G, D minor 7, G, C major, you go A minor, but to me, I like it. It's got good feel, but I'm missing those changes sometimes, So again, it sounds cool when you have the band behind you. It's really swingy to get bluesy like that. Just think, hey, I just want to think, yeah, go for it. You guys, 1, 2, A minor pentatonic. Just get really bluesy, A minor blues. You gotta try it, is what I'm saying. I could talk about it all day. Yeah, sing what you play. I always say, pretend you're George Benson. Yeah, keep it super simple and repetitive and bluesy. I mean, that's the sound, But again, that's one particular sound and approach, just playing blues scale throughout. I think that's important sound. The other approach is to play full scales, Dorian. And basically, again, the idea behind it is if we're in the key of C, you can just run your C major scale modes. I'm not going to talk too much about that. I don't think that's as important. But when you watch Stockelove Rosenberg, you'll hear him kind of run up and down that C major scale while mixing and matching the harmonic minor scale. So here's E7. E7 is where you want to do the harmonic minor. And then get back to the blues key. So again, that's to me one thing that I always try to do is when I have that E7 chord, or in that case A7, harmonic minor. Right here. And then A minor. And then. So again, over the B half dim to the E7, that's A harmonic minor. This. Or this. That's really what gives you that flavor, that gypsy jazz flavor that we want. Harmonic minor scale. How many of you guys know your harmonic minor scale if I said A harmonic minor? Okay. Oh, no, that's okay. I think what I'm going to do is to write out a sheet. And this is good. This is good feedback because, I don't want to get it too heady. It doesn't need to be too academic again. But I do want to just kind of give you what I feel are some different approaches to it.
I know some of these scales.
Yeah.
What I don't know is when you apply it, like
right. Well, so the thing is, I have that sheet that I was talking about. It's actually on that. If you go to that Patreon link and you download it, there's scale study number 1. That's honestly what I would recommend. I'm gonna write it out in this key since we're focusing on this key. I'm gonna write it out. But D minor 7. This is just another quick demonstration. I'm D minor 7, G7, C major 7, F major 7. That's all in the key of C. You don't have to do anything different. Just run one scale. This is scale stuff, but this is how you go. And then here on this chord. And then resolve it. And I'm going to do the blues scale to resolve it. So again, D minor. And then harmonic minor. And again, this is the scale approach, again, to know the chord scale relationship, kind of how I started off the session tonight, where I said, it's nice to know what scale goes with the chord.
Right. I mean, do you assume if you're playing the D minor chord, you just play the D minor harmonic scale? Or
no, not in this case. That's why, again, you have to analyze it. In this case, whenever you say D minor chord, it's not always the 2 chord, is what I'm saying. In this case, Autumn Leaves, it's 2, 5, 1, 4. Again, I know not everybody knows this, but that would mean Dorian, Mixolydian, all these fancy names. Ionian, Lydian. Let's get rid of those names. It's just in the key of C. That's all that you need to worry about. Key of C. Noodle around in the key of C. Play super melodically. Play on one string. Over this. You go. But once we have that B half diminished to 2, 5 to A minor, that's where you change one note to make it A harmonic minor. that note, and then that also gives us this arpeggio, the diminished, and then resolve it. But like I said, I like to play the blues scale to resolve it. That's my own thing. Or I might just play an A minor triad.
I noticed that you make it a G sharp, right?
Thank you, Steve. You turn the G to a G sharp. That's the only difference. That's what's called the leading tone. Exactly. I'm going to end it here in a second here, but I'm just going to do this really quickly. A little quick thing. Key of C is beautiful. It's all white keys on the piano. You could just go play, up and down key of C, noodle around. But for guitar players or ukulele, we it's not as clear. We need a method. And again, that's where check out my modes and all my scale stuff. Patreon. If you said, Tracy, jam the key of C, I would probably just do this. It's a quick demonstration. Key of C. Running up and down some scales. Maybe on one string. I mean, this isn't necessarily music, but I just want to make sure that I can just noodle around and have fun in the key of C, because I know not all of you have studied with me in the past, but generally I'll say learn your major sevens, dominant 7, minor 7 flat 5, aka half diminished, or on the chart, circle with a line through it, and stop me, of course, if I'm going too fast, and diminished 7. Those are the jazz chords, the 7th chords. And then, of course, in Gypsy jazz, we want the 6, major 6 and minor 6. And right now, I'm doing what I call the grip shape version. I'll depending on the song and the style, I'll mix it up. But for Autumn Leaves, I'd probably be doing these shapes anyways, these 4-note voicings. In this case, I'm demonstrating with the root on the 6th string, and I am playing the roots. So that was, again, and I could do a screen share, but I'm just going to kind of cruise through this a little bit so we can move on to some playing. But this is, again, what hopefully that it's no problem for you, that you can do major 7. This is all off of G dominant 7, G minor 7, G minor 7 flat 5, and again that's half diminished. G fully dim, that's G circle 7. Did I miss anything? No. Oh, G major 6 and G minor 6. Again, those are all just with the root in the bass. And then, similarly, this is what I generally call the grip chord routine. C major 7, C dominant 7, C minor 7. I always go through this systematically like this. C half diminished, C minor 7 flat 5, C dim 7. Now these are some special chord shapes here that you probably don't do too often if you're comping in Gypsy jazz. C6, C minor 6. If I get that right there. Okay, most people just go straight to the 6th string and do C minor 6. But you can also do C6 like this, or C minor 6 like this. And those are all written on that sheet that I passed out called grip chord sheets there. But it's good practice still to get these voicings, major 7, dominant 7, all of these shapes here. And then you just want to be able to read through any song, any jazz standards, How do you feel about chords? Was that all pretty straightforward? Can I see hands like oh, I don't have that down, so? Okay, good. So, again, I'm trying to make sure I have these reference materials for you. I've got a lot of videos on YouTube, and Patreon. Of course, I'm always plugging Patreon because pretty much that's where I put all of my materials. You can just use that as a really big resource, a library of anything that I'm teaching. So that's always on Patreon. Okay, so that's the chord part of it, is to be able to do that. So in Autumn Leaves case, and again, many of you have read the email, we're going to look at it tonight in A minor, first chord being D minor. So don't let that fool you. It just fooled me, right? The first chord says D minor 7 on the chart. It's not in the key of D minor, but it's in the key of A minor, and that's a 2-5-1. There's some theory stuff we'll talk about. But what I'm saying here is just to be able to do this, D minor 7, G7, C major 7, F major 7, B half dim, E7, A minor 7. You could do A minor 6. And then maybe here, this route, D minor 7 up here, G7, C major 7, F major 7, then I'll go down here because I didn't do it earlier, B half dim, E7, sure I'll use a cowboy chord, why not? And then A minor. Chords are very, very important to now it's A minor 9. Well, actually A minor add 9, got a little fancy there. But again, we really want to explore chords, harmony, not just single notes, not just licks and lines, because that will open up your ears to some new sounds. Not only that, you'll be like, ooh, I love that 9 color. I love that moody add 9. So we could do that with our arpeggio. And then here's a chord. And it matches that flavor, Maybe you're like, oh, I like that G7 flat 5. So we could bring that out with our soloing, C major 9. You can bring those colors out because you're kind of goofing around with your comping. C major 9, F major sharp 11. Again, you can get these flavors that if you like it with chords, then you want to try to figure it out. How do I accomplish that with the leads, the soloing? So, that's to me very important aspect of playing jazz, for example, not just running licks. I mean, that's what, of course, is a good thing to be able to do at first, but it's also very interactive. So when you're jamming with somebody, your buddy's like playing, oh, what's that chord? Then you kind of, you interact, you match the flavors with them, and it's very conversational. So again, that's very nice to be able to do that. And that does require that you have chord knowledge and chord scale theory, that you understand how to achieve those flavors when you hear a particular chord. Again, that gets into some theory. Tonight, we're just going to kind of limit it at the 7th chords and 6th chords, so don't worry about achieving 9th chords and sharp 11s and all that good stuff for now. Yeah, I have some silly nicknames, but I think of this. That shape. But if we're doing it, that was the dominant 7th chord, by the way. So that right now I'm on D7, and this is a great shape to have down, of course. But D6 would be this. You take the flat 7 and you go to 6. Okay, so it's dominant 7, 6. Just a little bit of theory goes a long way with chord knowledge. And of course, beautiful shape, beautiful sound. Same with this dominant 7, as opposed to this D7 like this and D6 like this. See what I mean? So you get this. Okay, and then minor 6 would be this. So I just flatted the 3, and that's again some theory, is that you flat your 3 from a major 6. The 3 is here, minor 6. That's a 3, as a thinned out version of it. There's no 5th in there. This shape, a la Django. And again, I never used this when I was going to music school and learning jazz. Never used that shape until playing Django. It's like, oh, that's the flavor. This shape, which
talking about, is it this one?
No, the other one, the handwritten one. It's not on there. That right there, Steve, was the routine that I just demonstrated with the 6th and 5th string roots. The other one's handwritten, and I could even I just sent it out today.
Oh, okay.
It's handwritten on a chart. I could even pull it up here as a screen share. So give me a sec. And I call it's a major 6 chord, and I call it the a la Django. So now every time I'm demonstrating, I say a la Django, as opposed to this G6 like this shape. The inner 4 strings. It has a really tight sound, great for rhythm guitar. There's no bass note unless you wrap your thumb around, which I don't feel is necessary. Inner strings. Again, it would be like this. Which is also just which is also just this. Check it out. No hands. Look. That's G6. Believe it. Those 4 strings. Or like this. G6. You know, it's very Hawaiian. Great for the ukulele, of course, too. That's C6 if you were to hit the open strings. But check it out when you're playing rhythm guitar. So I'm going G6, D9, G6. Beautiful. 1 5 1 5 1 5 with just moving those inner voicings like this. The two outer strings stay the same. So I went like this: 1 D9, not D7, because I would have to reconfigure my hand shape. But this, and the 9th chord that I'm using here is right here, by the way. That's G9, but I was doing D9 on the 5th fret. So again, these are kind of those special shapes that I like to use in this style. D9, 1 5 1. So when I'm playing, if you all know the tune, Jangology, the B section, it goes A flat, E flat 9, or A flat 6, D, E flat 7, but I just go 6, and then up half step. So it'd be like this. And there's, of course, many other shapes. We'll kind of talk about it tune by tune. If, you know, this I can just go on for an hour just on chord shapes, obviously. But we want to apply it to music, so. But I think that's a really good reference sheet for you to use, again, for tunes in this style, from jazz standards to gypsy jazz. I do want to show this because I don't think it's actually written on there, but theory is important too, of course. If this is G major 6, how do you make it G minor 6? You do this, flat your 3. Major 6, minor 6. So again, that's very important to learn your formulas. So if you learn one shape, you can actually get all these other shapes from it. Okay, so let's move on. Oh, I guess one other thing. I do have one other thing. G6 is also equipped. Maybe I'm gonna see hands. How many of you know this? I'll kind of say it in a question, and it's okay if you don't. This is stuff that I want you to learn over this course. G6 is equivalent to what minor 7? John Prettyman. No, anybody, think about it. G major 6 is equivalent to what minor 7? E minor 7. And that's the relative minor. You could think of it that way. Maybe you already know this, maybe you don't. But if I were to grab a ukulele, well, no mine is, but An's going to do it for me. Just the open strings, if you all play the uke, it would sound like this. And that's they'll say a C6 chord in the book. But it can also be A minor 7. It could have 2 different names. That's very, very valuable, again, to know the 2 different names that a lot of these chords can have, especially when soloing. I'm going to talk about that with Autumn Leaves in a second here. Let's see, any questions so far? Yeah, G6, like this. And here's the G6 arpeggio. And that's also E minor 7. Okay, so if we inverted it, meaning just started on an E, for example, here, that now becomes E minor 7. The same 4 notes. E, G, B is E minor triad, and then the D is the flatted 7. So that's 1, flat 3, 5, minor triad, and then the flat 7 here. Let's write that in. E minor 7, cowboy style. But the rhythm player could be playing G6. And I'm thinking E minor 7 arpeggio, or E minor lick. That's the beauty. Django did that quite a bit. Django would be playing over C6 chords, and he's doing A minor. An A minor phrase over C6, and it works so beautifully. So again, these are very important sounds in gypsy jazz. And I say sounds, these are actually like strategies or concepts to convert. You see C6, you play A minor lick over C6. It's very Django. You see G6, you play E minor, and that's over a G6 chord. If you had a rhythm player, I don't have my rhythm player with me. Need to get them all the time. And John, I need you here too. So, okay, I'm gonna just go on now to the song, but this is day one. I'm kind of considering it for this a little bit more, definitely more advanced class than what I do on my introduction to Gypsy Jazz, which is I usually teach minor swing, but we're actually going to talk a little bit about minor swing. Any other questions? Please feel free. I mean, again, I don't want to rush too quickly, and I say that because I have so many materials. If you guys took a look at that Patreon link, there's like, I don't know, 20 PDFs and stuff that will kind of keep you busy if you want to dive into it further. So I want to cover anything that you may have questions on, and then discuss some concepts.